Let's get started.
Okay, well, let me welcome everyone to Chapter 877, our meeting. We haven't had one in a while, so we're glad you're here. And if you're watching a recording of this, we're glad you're watching the recording. And without further ado, let's introduce our two guest speakers here, Amanda Walkup and Ronda Duncan. And if you would like to further introduce yourself and tell what you do, your titles and all that stuff.
Okay. Well, I am Amanda Walkup. Most of y'all know me from CEC. But this year we have started here at Hillcrest an inclusion program with just ninth graders. We have Inclusion English 1 and Inclusion English 2, or Algebra 1, sorry. We have an Algebra and an English class. And I was picked to be paired here with Miss Duncan for various reasons. I don't know, because they thought we would be good together, I guess.
They thought that, or we'd burn the place down.
Or we'd burn the place down. And so along with being the department chair, special ed, and everything else I do, I have been thrust into the wonderful world of co-teaching English 1 this year. And it's been interesting. Miss Duncan?
My name is Ronda Duncan. I have been teaching English here at Hillcrest for 12 years in various places, but I've been with the Academy for 7. Is that right? Is this my 7th year?
Yes,
obviously, first year of inclusion. And it is quite different than everyday teaching in the classroom. It is already proved to be extremely different. Not bad, just a very different way to do things and a different group of kids to service.
Well, that's interesting. I'm glad to see two of you. That was one of my questions. I was wondering if you chose each other to teach together, or did the admin?
That's a great question.
Well, we had talked about this too before y'all started, about the importance, we think the importance of admin very carefully choosing who to do full co-teaching. Like, I'm a facilitator or I just offer support. Like, we literally go back and forth. There are days I do the whole lesson. There are days she does the whole lesson. There's days I go back and forth, or we do stations or something like that. So it's not like I'm just supporting the kids or supporting her. I'm actually a teacher. And that's what they wanted out of these two classes that they did. And that's why we started small. So when the district told us we were going to have to do some sort of inclusion process, because we were all resource classes before, it was decided, well, admin called me in and said, you're going to do one of them. And I said, thanks. And then they were like, well, who do you think would be good in English? And I said, Rhonda. And then she was like, well, who do you think would be good in math? And I said, Miss Rostek, our math teacher. So we kind of like that. Those were the same two people that she was thinking too, Rhonda and Miss Rostek. So that, you know, it was already kind of decided, but it was nice to know that they asked my opinion and that, you know, that we had the same idea as to who we thought would be the best for this kind of situation, because you can't just have anybody do it.
And with our situation, it has worked out really, really well because we're friends outside of the classroom. And that's not the standard for co-teaching. But with us, I don't think we could work with anybody else.
Right.
I don't think that we would be nearly as cohesive because we're so comfortable with one another. Classroom, what keeps the kids engaged, because we're constantly arguing, battling, having fun. They get tickled. They want walk up to insult or pick at me. They want me to pick at her. But the other co-teaching group are a completely different group. It's a man who is the resource teacher, a younger man, and a woman who had never met one another before they started teaching together. And they have a very different relationship than the two of us do. They also teach differently than we do, from what we understand. Yeah. Of course, we don't have time to observe them. We're too busy ourselves.
Right.
But it's a totally, the teachers have to be a cohesive bond, but it doesn't have to be really close, tight friends.
Right.
But in our case, that's why it works so well.
Well, and I think all too often, and I know just from observing, you know, my adept teachers in other parts of the county, that the teachers are just thrown together.
Mhm.
And because, we're going to have an inclusion class here, and, this is what you're going to do. And like, they don't have any say in the matter, and they don't have any say in how they do it. And, when we started out, I told admin I wasn't going to be a glorified aide, that I didn't have 4 degrees in national certification just to be, an aide for Rhonda.
My copier.
Her copier, her head thumper, or whatever, that I wasn't going to do it. And so
that's another thing we respect.
That is another thing. We do respect one another, and she would never, have me do stuff like that I didn't want to do, and I would never ask her to do anything she didn't want to do.
We're both so busy, we don't have time to,
But I think all too often that's how it is, and it's not like that for us, and it's not like that for the other team. But I think our admin chose well and put so much thought into how we were going to do it before implementing it. That's what happened. They planned really well. They took a lot of time. We took a lot of time.
We took a lot of classes. We took
a lot of classes. We, read stuff on our own. We talked, we planned over the summer. And I think that's just what you have to do.
And then we plan and revise almost every day. Almost every day.
So that's what I was going to ask you. How often do you meet for planning? Or
She and I?
We have the same planning periods.
Yeah.
This is another part of admin and scheduling. We have the exact same planning periods. I'm with her for 4 periods a day. We have the same 2 planning periods. And then I have a resource class while she has her honors class. The other team is together 3 periods a day, and then there's 2 honors classes, and they have the same planning. And then all 4 of us have the same planning together so that we can meet and talk at the same time. So it's not, and that's something, again, that admin and scheduling has to do.
They have to be a part of that.
You have to have common planning time. There's just no way about it. If you want true co-teaching the way that we do it, you have to have the same planning time. It's
because
not
she
possible.
and I literally plan together every day, even if we've already done the lesson plans, which we do them every week. We discuss them. I type them up, but then on Monday we discuss who's going to do this part, who's going to do this. Are we going to do this together? Let's handle this way. Nope, we've got to go back and totally this or rethink this. With the group that we represent, going back and reteaching is pretty normal because they don't grasp a concept. When you have the number of resource students that we do in the classroom, we're constantly backing up and punting. And it's really helped a lot. But we work from bell to bell because we are constantly trying to stay caught up with the other teachers and end of course exams that are required by the state, as well as teach them something in here and maybe help them to like the class.
That would be nice, and I think that's where it's going to really, where the rubber's going to meet the road, as to say, is when we get to those end of course exams in May, how much better our kids do. Because, kids with disabilities, resource kids have, consistently scored poor on the EOCs, the English end of course test, that's just the way it is, So it'd be interesting to see if the scores go up, how much they go up. If they don't go up, and maybe we need to revamp or something like that for next year.
have you gotten any feedback from the
admin likes this enough that this is here to stay unless it goes really south, like we've been told that this will be the exact same way next year.
Have you gotten any feedback from like the students and the parents so far about how they feel about the program?
Well, at open house, they were very excited that there were 2 teachers in the program, but also keep in mind, we presented this in a very different way. We were told from the get-go, do not call this inclusion, do not call this this. It is a co-teaching experience, an experiment by the district, and a push to see how testing results differ from co-teaching to one teacher. We were told not to use inclusion, and so the kids don't see this as a resource class. They see this as a co-teaching experience. They don't see it any differently because it wasn't addressed that way. So the parents were totally excited that there were 2 teachers in one room. So because it was presented in a positive connotation, it's been a very different, I think, experience than it would have been, because those kids who were not resourced, those parents would have been very, I think, unhappy.
And I think that's part of it too. Like the class itself on the kid's schedule or on her grade book. It's not called inclusion English. It's just English. Like, I don't know why we have to make such a big deal out of it. And other schools do. I know they do. I've seen other people's schedules, and it says like inclusion math 7 or something. And it shouldn't have to be that way. Why can't it just be a regular class? I just happen to be in there with you. Like, why do we have to put labels on it?
Right.
So like nobody knows what I do except those kids that I have to have meetings with. Like when we do IEP stuff, or I talk to them about something like that, or we have a meeting, they know. Our special ed kids know, but I mean the other kids, they know.
Some I think have figured it out.
I think they figured it out, but they don't care.
They don't see it as a negative experience anymore, because they're like very, very upset children yesterday when Miss Walkup wasn't here. They do not like to see one of us gone. Very unnerving. They want, and we have a healthy codependency. I don't like for her to be out. We're very happy to.
It's weird.
It's very strange, considering I was very concerned about giving up half my class to a friend, because you get used to teaching by yourself. It's your thing. So it's been very interesting, because the kids immediately bought into it. They wanted to know where Miss Walkup was, why she wasn't here, when is she coming back, and blah. They ask if she steps out for a few minutes and they don't see her. Where's she? She come back. And same for me. They just get used to that.
They asked for her today because she had to miss the beginning of 6 to go up front for something, and they were like, "Where's Miss Duncan's office?" And they were like, "Oh, she's in trouble." I said, "She's always in trouble." And so they laughed about that, and then we just moved on with the lesson. And I think you have to be able to do that, because as a special ed teacher, look, stuff happens. I'm called away all the time.
All the time.
I mean,
That's
also being the department head it's not conducive to this kind of work, because I'm called away a lot.
But we just keep rolling.
But we just keep rolling. We just pick up where the other one left off.
Yeah.
Now, if one of you is absent, do they get you a sub for that person that's absent?
Yeah, we've
tried not to, but they won't let us.
We have to have subs. So that person gets to read a book that day, and they're happy, or they grade quizzes if there's a quiz or a test, or they pass out stuff for us. So kind of sad for the sub, but
they get paid to basically just chill.
Sit here.
Now, what happens if, and this might not happen, but have you ever had a lesson like where you disagreed with what the other teacher's saying or doing? How do you handle something where you don't agree with each other?
Like that quiz, that vocab quiz redo.
Yes.
So we gave them a vocab quiz on something, and the grades were horrible.
Horrible.
And she wanted to just put it in.
I was mad.
She was
they
mad.
Didn't study. I was
she
mad.
Just wanted to put it in.
Punished.
I was like, let's do some corrections. Let me work out how to do corrections on this, and we'll give them half the points back if they do it.
And she
was not happy about it, but she let me do it, and the kids were very thankful. And
but I told them that.
She made it known that I was the one who made her do it, and she didn't want to do it. So like, she's the bad one and I'm the good one.
So good cop, bad cop, and they bought into that, buddy. I mean, they were making some corrections because they knew that was possibly just a one-time thing. So we took our disagreement about it and turned it into a positive for the kids to see it as this does not happen often.
Right. So
we try to take whatever we're doing, and we're that much in tune with one another that we sort of pick up what the other's putting down when it comes to the kids.
And if we want to like interject something, like I'll just like wave from across the room or something from my desk, and she'll stop whatever we're doing. And like first period's always the guinea pig, you know how that is. And so first period, we're teaching, and the other one's interjecting. I mean, we just interrupt each other. It doesn't bother either one of us. But then, going on to second, third, now we know when to pause to let the other one speak, or to interject that comment, or to remind them of what they said or something like that. But again, not everybody can do that. Not everyone, you can't just interrupt anyone, So I really think that our friendship first made this a really good match
for us,
for the kids and the school. I mean, God, I've been observed more this year in here than I have been in the past 9 years.
Probably 8 or 9 times.
And I literally once a year. And it has been like 8 or 9 times, and we're not even through the first semester. It's like everybody's coming in here.
They want to see what we're doing because it's obvious that, and we always have something going on. We try to interject other activities, not just worksheet and lecture and teach, but we try to interject other things to keep their interest high. We just started doing a book that, Buddha Boy. It is about bullying. Fantastic story, lower Lexile, excellent story about not judging a book by its cover, bullying, all of those kind of things. And they can't wait to get in here to read it. Like, they're totally excited. But their assessment is not a test. She wanted to do vocab. I said, not for this book. They are doing one assessment, and it's an anti-bullying poster that we've got a rubric ready for that they are going to do, and that is their major assessment for that book. So that they're excited about the book and the assessment, and they feel success, which in turn makes them better at English.
Right.
So we try a lot of different ways to keep them going. And another problem that we have, especially with the 9th grade and resource, is lack of organization. Walkup took an entire day after we had taken at the beginning of the year an opportunity to put together a notebook, what we wanted the notebook to have. She had bought dividers, all of the stuff, had the kids reorganize, do all of these things. And 2 months into it, it looks like bombs went off in those notebooks. Horrifying. So we took an entire day, and Walkup spent the entire day with them only organizing books. That's all she did.
And we need to do it again.
So those are important skills that these particular kids need, as well as our regular ed students. They need it as well, because 9th grade, they are so immature that this is a great tool. We've also really pushed the day planners, although that has not been successful.
No, they don't use planners that much.
No.
I'm trying to push the phones now. Let's put it in our phone as a reminder, because that's what we do as adults. We put stuff in our phone to remind us to do it.
I don't.
Well, you don't know how to use your phone.
So the students
This is
are
another
allowed.
thing that I think is beneficial for us is that I can do technology and use a computer correctly, and she can't. And so, like, I think for her,
I like them to do handwriting now.
yeah. Well, and I think for her, it's been interesting for her because she's been able to implement so much more technology now than she would have before, because she didn't know how to do any of
The
this
classroom
stuff,
is a 50-50 mix on. I
Right.
would say a 50-50 mix of Google Classroom and regular classroom things, like
Yeah.
worksheets that are paper and worksheets that are Google
that are on.
driven.
Yeah.
Okay, I got another question. Well, not a question, but I know you all are writing a blog together. Would you talk about it and give the address? Oh, look, you were ready for me.
teachingforbeginners.wordpress.com. We're going to post this link up there, as well as on the CEC Wiki.
Yeah, because I've been following y'all, and I have you in a little another site where it lets me know every time you update it, so I don't miss anything.
But we haven't recently. It's been
We're a
so
little
busy
slow.
here, though.
It's been busy.
It's been really, really. It's that most wonderful time of year.
But you have midterms
It's
coming
Christmas.
up, don't you?
Not till January.
Okay.
We have them after Christmas.
But we will send all students home, especially the 9th grade academy. We're very big into sending home midterm study guides before Christmas so that nobody can say they didn't have enough time to study. So all of that will be done probably the next week. I got to get that done next
So
week.
do you come up with the study guide together, or how do you?
Well, they've had one that they've used for years because English 1 is always planned together. They've always had the same things going on at the same time. So that was really easy for me because I walked into an already established, subject area. Like she knows when there are things that we're doing PO this month. Like, you can't not get around PO. You know what I'm saying?
Not with me.
You have we're doing a Christmas book and a Christmas project. I mean, so there's already things that are like already set up. So like the study guide for the midterm is already set up. Like, we'll have to look at
We'll
it
take a few things off.
because
and
we're
add
going
a
to
few
take some
things.
stuff off because we didn't do a Christmas Carol. We did Buddha Boy instead. So we're going to have to take off some stuff and add in some other stuff that we did specifically, but the basic skeleton of the study guide and the midterm and the EOC study guide is already done.
Well, you know, it sounds really great. It seems like to be co-teaching, it involves a lot of trust. And even though you both are friends, I see you still have to trust the other person.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I can't even begin to tell you, because they're your safety net. It sounds so strange. You know, this time last year, I was like, I really don't want to do co-teaching. I love you. I do not want to be, I do not. And she really didn't want to do it. And it is amazing how we become one another's safety net as well. I mean, I do not like it when she's not here. I really do not. And it's vice versa. If she steps out for a few minutes, I'm very unhappy until she returns. I'm fine with my honors class. It's totally fine. I'm fine by myself. Don't even think about it. But it is, you have to respect and trust that other person, because everything we're doing is for the kids, but we have to be cohesive. We really do. We have to work together constantly.
Well, she does have to trust me to deliver content too, because like those EOC scores, they're gonna come back in her name, not mine.
Right.
You know, I don't get judged on the EOC scores for not yet.
But this is how much I trust her with those scores. She doesn't. I do almost none of it because I prefer the literature. So we kind of divided that up at the beginning of the year, and EOC practice, which is lit terms, literary devices, and grammar was really her thing. So that is huge trust.
Right. And that,
because the numbers, Ronda Duncan, not Amanda Walkup.
But that's why I was saying I'm such a control freak. That would be hard for me.
We both are.
To do
we
that.
both are. That's what's been so interesting about this period is, you know, she has a desk over here, I have a desk over here, but we actually can commune without speaking.
Yeah, we just like look at each other or just say like one word and we know what each other's talking about. And, you know, you just develop that over time. But, you know, there has to be that, like, I wouldn't say friendship, but that respect between the two people before they start. I mean, it's difficult to...
Because I think Anthony and Rostak run on a whole different thing. And the kids respond to a male in the algebra room in a very positive way, because there's so many kids in this 58% poverty rate that respond to a man better because they don't have a man. So the respect level is there. So Rostak has really, and I'm speaking for her, but Rostak has really grown, not dependent, but very needy when it comes to some of the discipline behaviors in her classroom, because he addresses that. He does not allow her to address any of it. He handles it.
Well, that's I was going to ask about your classroom. How did you plan to handle discipline at the beginning of the year? Did you come up with a plan together? How do you handle it now?
I think she mostly handles the discipline.
But we haven't had any.
We haven't had any.
2 teachers in the classroom. We've had 1 kid who has trouble with female authority. And with us double tag teaming him, he didn't like that too much. But other than that, we really
haven't had any. Like, there are kids that just rub her the wrong way, and so I just intervene. There's kids that I just, you know, can't handle sometimes, and she likes them. Like, we have a set of brothers in our second period.
Twins.
And I like one of them, and one of them got along well, and her and the other one got along well. So we just separated them to the corners by our separate desk, you know, so she can deal with hers and I can deal with mine, and we're all happy.
But did you have to come up with a plan before, or did you didn't have to?
No, not really. But because, and I don't mean this in that way, Amanda in the classroom is a little more soft-spoken, and she's also very petite. I am not a little girl, and I am very blunt and a bit brutal, and they're scared of me. So when one day they were talking over her, would not stop, and I had stepped out, and I came in and I blasted them. I said, "You will not be disrespectful to her. How dare you treat my friend that way, my coworker, my colleague? You all owe her an apology." Did I not? And you really haven't had another problem.
No, not really.
She's just so petite. and she's younger than me, that she almost looks like one of the students. And though she's strict with them, a classroom that size of very boisterous children and I have a loud voice. I don't play. I'm evil.
You need somebody disciplined and classroom management wise.
And we both are.
I've never had issues with kids, but I'm used to 10 kids in a class. You know, I'm not used to 35 times a day. It's just not my thing. So I've really had a struggle getting used to so many kids. Like, it took me like a month to learn all their names because I'm just not used to that.
And it's all I've done.
And so. Yeah, and so it's still a little difficult for me sometimes to get them to calm down and get started on something, but it is getting better. It's getting better.
It's just different. It's just different style.
But I really don't think we sat down and made I think because like the school rules are the school rules. The academy rules are the same no matter which room you're in the academy. Okay, and then. We got Chromebooks this year. We went one-to-one with Chromebooks. So the phone issue is non-existent because you don't need your phone because we're going to pull out the Chromebooks here in a minute, you know. So we haven't had to deal with that, which is what a lot of people deal with here. You know, we don't have issues.
We really don't have.
We've almost had like
two. I think if there was just one though, the
amount
of resource students we have.
Well, and then our classes, like one of our classes is like 21 out of 30 IEPs. Okay?
Yes.
So, because all of the kids who had co-teaching English on their IEP are in here. There's one teacher that does inclusion English, and that's her. So, they're not spread among the 4 English 1 teachers. It's all the IEPs that say co-teaching English are in here. Okay? So, we have 4 full classes a day, and about half of each one are resource kids. So
there's consistency right there.
Right, exactly.
Right. Because if they had every teacher, there are 4 of us just in the academy. We each teach about 150 kids a day. Mm-hmm. If we each had one class, it would be chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have to learn to teach to that group of people and to a group that's resource and regular ed. It's a very delicate balance, I think. A very unique balance and a much lower group that you are dealing with across the board, which has made this year very difficult for me, backing up and punting constantly.
Yeah.
Because we have.
Yeah. And I think for a special ed teacher, I couldn't imagine going to all four of the teachers for like one period a day. I couldn't imagine because it would be different in each class. There'd be different groups of kids. There'd be a different management scheme. There'd be different teaching styles.
Different, possibly.
I would be playing a different role in each class because there's a couple classes here I wouldn't be able to teach. You know, I would be a glorified aide in the back of the room, and I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So I think when they decided we're just going to do these teachers,
there's consistency.
There's a lot of consistency through it, and we can really do whatever we want. Like, we do our best to keep up and do the same thing as the other 3 teachers are, but if we don't, we don't.
Too bad, because we basically have been told you need to do what you need to do to get these kids EOC grades up.
Okay.
Right. So that helps too, being given the freedom not to have to stay exactly where everybody else is.
Right. So how do you handle parent communication? Do you split up like the kids, or how do you do that?
No, for grades and stuff, they usually call her because she's the one on the schedule. She's the one when they open up their backpack portal to see their grades, it says Ronda Duncan. So they're gonna call her for that. Now, you know, of course, I've contacted all of the IEP kids' parents. You know, they know who I am. They know why I'm here. I've met the majority of them. So if they have an IEP question or accommodations, or if they just feel better talking to me than her, which I have a couple that just contact me, then fine, they can do that. Because I'm in the classroom too. So, like, I could tell them exactly what that thing was, that essay was, and when it was due, and why the kid got 20 points off. You know?
Right.
So really, all the grade stuff kind of comes to her, and then if our parents have any issues IEP-wise, they know to contact me. No, I'll call parents. I don't care.
Yeah. So it's kind of 50. I would say it's about 50-50. Again, we don't have behavior issues really, so we're not calling for that.
No, we don't.
Well, this sounds.
We've only had close to like one fight maybe. But that was it. Yeah, maybe.
And that's another story.
Well, this sounds wonderful. I can't wait for you to keep blogging because I've been really interested in this whole process.
We're so sorry. We're so sorry. We've been so slack.
At least you know you have a reader out there.
One person, yay!
But
one person.
You answered all my questions. I had a whole list of questions for you.
Well, she had wrote down stuff. So, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Reteaching concepts, task, and what? You want to talk about that?
Oh, one of the main tenets of special ed and behavior management is task analyzing. So you break down, you take a big project and you break it down into its individual steps in order to get the kid through it. When I looked at a lot of her projects and papers and essays and stuff like that over the years, content area or general ed teachers are very, do this, and here you go, kind of. I mean, that's how I feel. Like here, write this text-dependent analysis on the way grief is expressed in The Raven by Poe. And here you go, you know what I'm saying? Whereas, and like they don't give, if it's not on the rubric, they don't give any more information. They don't break down the steps. Like you have to do this, this, and this to meet this part of the rubric, and this, and this to meet that part of the rubric. So I've enjoyed being able to step in and really, task analyze those things, really break it down and say, you have to do this, and this is what one looks like. Give them an example. You have to do this part, and this is what that should look like. In order to get through it, like the poster that we're going to start tomorrow, actually, to introduce it, like she's going to let me introduce it because I sat down and I've, task analyzed exactly what they need to do. I know how to introduce it. I know what we're going to talk about. And then this is how they look. These are some examples of anti-bullying posters, and you need this and this and this and this. And so let's do part 1 today and part 2 tomorrow and part 3 the next day, as opposed to just, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like I've been able to help with that some, and some of the other English teachers have wanted the things that we've done together. When I've broken stuff down or created a new project or something, or found a new graphic organizer.
What about the quiz that you chunked because they weren't doing well?
Well, I'll talk about that. Yeah. They've wanted the stuff, and it's helped their kids too. She was just talking about they were doing horrible on vocab quizzes the way we were doing them. All of them were bad, and so I finally just took it and I did like topics. Like, okay, these 7 words cover the same kind of idea. We're gonna put these 7 in a matching chunk, and then I drew a line, and then we're gonna put these 5 in a matching chunk, and we drew a line. And so, just something that I guess they had never thought about.
Just reworking the quiz.
Chunking the vocab quizzes as opposed to having 20 and then the 20 matching over here, and you just, they have to go back and forth all 20 words. Just do 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 and 5. And our grades went so far up.
Way up.
It's just little things like that they don't think about. But with my knowledge of, special ed strategies, it just makes it easier for all the kids. All the kids, did better on their vocab
across
quizzes.
The board.
Yeah.
And another thing that has been fantastic is these resource kids have instant access to her to get immediate understanding of concepts that maybe I can't understand what it is they're asking me for. Mm-hmm. Or she can break it down into a tinier little piece that they go, wow, that I would not be able to do because I'm not a resource teacher. I don't know what it is they need from me, but they have instant access to her. And I'll be honest with you, they actually go to her with those kind of little detailed questions more than they do me. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not exactly sure why, because she addresses it in a way that they understand possibly a little bit more than me.
Right.
So it's been really interesting to watch that as well.
And they'll come, and one thing I love is that they'll come to both of us for help. Like, if they bring up something to me, and that's not, what they're asking wasn't my part, and I'm not really sure what Rhonda would say, I just send them over to her.
I do the same thing.
And she does the same thing to me. Like, if it's my part of
the assignment, go ask Miss Walkup.
Go ask Miss Walkup about it, and then I tell.
Or if it's something that you assigned, I'm just not.
Yeah, or something that I just made up. Like this poster thing, it was her idea, but I made the rubric And, you know, so.
We came up with the whole concept.
Yeah, so it's going to be, you know, very give and take over the next couple of days about getting posted on.
Yeah, but fun. Another
Fun.
activity that we can tell.
Cutting and
if they
pasting and
understand.
coloring.
Oh, always the bomb.
Cutting and pasting and coloring. They love it.
Always.
They love it. They were so, we did a paragraph about the greatest present they've ever received
She
the other
was so
day.
pitiful. She cried.
I cried a lot reading them because they were so and cut them out, and it has never been so
Silence.
quiet.
Silence. They had to write a paragraph and then color and cut out the present. Total silence.
For like 30 minutes, there was nothing.
It was so nice.
It was so nice.
So peaceful. Well,
Yeah.
again, it was another writing activity where they're learning to write on a daily basis. But it added a part of it that reverted back to their childhood to go with the greatest gift they ever received. It was really,
Yeah.
we're going to be doing more with coloring.
Yes. We're going to try to color and cut something once a week because it's fun.
And it's peace.
And it's peaceful. What else do we have over there?
Oh, we said that already,
Yeah.
basically. Our approach to teaching, I will say this, our approach is different than other people. We basically tag team teach, like part of the lesson, and we may go back and forth twice, we may go back and forth once. She may teach the whole thing, I may teach the whole thing while she's going around the room. That happens more often than, but most of the time we split the class up. That's what we sort of agreed on at the beginning of the year. I think that's what we're most comfortable with. Then if one of us gets called out, we've already heard it, the other one just picks up and takes over. It's totally seamless.
Because I do get called out a lot. I mean, that just comes with being department head.
Yeah.
You know how it is, Pat. You know, you have to get
Yeah.
called out to do this, that, and the other, and new kids, and crisis
Yes.
over here. And, I mean, so, like, was it the best idea for the department head to also be, you know, starting this co-teaching journey? Probably not. But
Probably you are the best choice.
well, I think I was the best choice at the time, and I think that they knew that I would do everything as best as I could, you know, and
I'll just pick up and do whatever it is we had already determined we were going to do, and it's totally seamless.
now I am having a hard trouble keeping up with special ed stuff, you know, paperwork and dates and stuff like that, just normal special ed things that we have to do other than teach, because, you know.
But there are days that I'll allow her
And
to
so
do
there
that.
are days that, which is nice, there are days where I gotta get this done. I gotta get this new kid in the system, you know what I'm saying? So that's nice being able to do that, for sure.
And then on a personal level, I'm selling one house and moving into another, so I've had to literally leave the room because there's something going on at one of the houses, or, I mean, we do have that ability. Also, when kids are in school suspension, we're able to take the assignment up, explain it to them instead of just throwing something up there and them not doing it.
Yeah.
We can, and usually it's me, and I go up there and threaten lives and talk to the ISS instructor and say, this is what's got to be done today. And so we are able to leave the room. I went downstairs to talk to a sophomore this morning that had promised me he was going to get an assignment done, and I'm keeping up with him. So I went downstairs and let him have it and came right back up and did my thing. So it is.
It sounds like, yeah.
Kids are used to it. Like they don't like it when we're not in the same room, but they're used to, like, one of us, you know, leaving for a couple of minutes, coming back. You know, they're used to me getting phone calls because my phone will ring off the hook.
And it used to disturb them. I don't think it bothers
I
anybody.
don't even think they
anymore.
notice anymore because it brings so much.
But, you know, I think y'all set such a great example for other teachers that may be going into this, or even administrators might want to watch this to think about, oh, we never thought we need to take that into consideration, or just a lot of things.
With administrators, the biggest thing that they need to do is buy into the philosophy that you have to have the same planning periods. You have to let these inclusion teachers work together. They have to have some kind of connection, or it's not going to work. The admin have to be the buy-in. They have to, and they have to get the inclusion team to buy in. But admin is key. And we do have administrators that really did this well. and allowed us the ability to plan together, because this would not be successful if we didn't have our planning periods the same.
No.
And they set up planning periods so that we could have IEPs together in the afternoons. We have final period planning so that we can have all those IEPs in the spring. She just tells me what days we have them, and we go.
Right.
So that's helpful too. I don't really have to find another teacher. Like, it's very rare that I have anyone except her.
Right.
Very rare.
And I know that that's part of
that's part of it.
Part of my job. I'm losing planning hours because I also had to do duty. But I know that that's part of our experience as a team.
And I think that helps parents too when you're in these meetings.
Oh yes. Would you
absolutely
agree?
Absolutely. And I can count on her to actually show up, because if she doesn't show up on time, I will get her later.
Stab me in the throat.
So it's really nice.
No, I will not get my Starbucks on Friday. Every Friday, which Dr. Skip first, but every week that she doesn't have to kill me, I get a large Starbucks, my choice of whatever I want. And so I've gotten Starbucks every single week.
Every week, because you've been good.
I've been good. So, but Dr. Skipper saw it the first week and said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I didn't kill Duncan."
He thought it was hilarious. So now they're always asking, did she get Starbucks this week? And how things are doing. Like, one of the things that they said literally was, don't have the house called and don't catch the bill. Yeah, don't burn the house down. And you'll be fine.
And Dr. Skipper said, when we were checking out, he said, y'all are going to do one of two things. We're going to have to call the SWAT team, or you're going to be very successful. So, and they're right, because we are both very quick to anger with other people, not the kids. But we have tempers, we have attitudes, but we have done this has worked out really well. I think
it's worked out really well. I really like it. I just wish I didn't have to do everything else that I have to do and do this at the same time.
It's a lot for her.
Like, if I didn't have the department head position, I think I would not be as stressed, for sure.
But I think Anthony is stressed.
We would have so much time. There's just a lot, it's a lot to do.
Y'all have a lot on you.
And the teachers really have to want to do it, and they really, or at least be willing to put their all into it. Like, I don't want to do it, but I've put my all into it, and I've done everything I can to make it successful.
Because I would say it's harder on the resource teacher than it is on the content teacher, because we don't have we have a lot of paperwork, but we don't have the paperwork that resource teachers have. And watching her do the stuff that she does, I don't know how she gets anything done. Plus, as the department head, she has people come in here and me saying, where is she? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a constant with all of the extra stuff that she has to do. That's why being friends is important in our situation, because I just pick up where she's got to stop.
Yeah, and she understands, which is
resentfulness.
Nice. And so I think one thing general educators need to understand is all the other crap we do have to do as special ed teachers that they don't understand, because they don't have to do it. No one can understand how long it takes to do an IEP or a reeval if they've never done it before.
Right.
But she understood before, but I think she really gets it now, because she sees it. She sees, my nonstop working from 8 to 4 o'clock every day, just trying to get stuff done.
And I will say one other thing about, I don't know what our time is, but I will say that as a content teacher, an inclusion teacher cannot be somebody that does not want to work with resource students. That has been my forte since I started teaching 12 years ago. And if you have a teacher that is not completely bought into the resource student, and their definitely different needs and ever-changing needs, and their attitudes and behaviors and the parent needs, and you are not going to have a successful inclusion team. Because there are, and all of y'all know this, there are content teachers that are very negative about resource, very negative about the teacher, very negative about the concept, and it's got to be a teacher, a content teacher that cares about those kids. And I truly do. I don't like having honors. I do not like it. I would much rather teach CP all day, because they need me more.
And And I think if we'd have had enough kids in inclusion English, we would
I
have
would
done
have
5
had
whole periods. She
right.
wouldn't have had honors, but we didn't have. When we got the final numbers, we only had enough for 4. So, but again, that's something that, you know, guidance and scheduling and admin really looked at for us. They really looked at our numbers, and you know, I worked all summer trying to figure out how many kids we were going to have served in what way, and making sure their schedules were right and all. And they worked really hard to make sure that our schedule was the best possible situation. And I know not everyone in every school has the best possible inclusion situation, but that starts at admin. And our admin did that for us.
They really did.
And we thank them all the time.
In fact, they attended all the meetings with us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We were all in this together from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah.
Well, that's
for sure.
That's wonderful. Ugh, you make me excited. Make me wish I was in the classroom again.
Come by anytime, Pat.
Please.
No, my husband would kill me.
He would love it.
You're welcome to. Unless you told him.
Yeah.
That's what we'll give you. Yeah, come by anytime. Seriously, we have been observed so much this year; it doesn't even faze us anymore.
Well, thank you both for taking this time out of your busy day. Please remember to check out CoTeaching for Beginners at WordPress.com when they update it.
We're going to. I promise.
We're going to put this link up there when you send it out. I'm going to put the link up there.
Okay, the pressure's on.
Respond.
Okay, we'll update tomorrow.
That's
our goal.
Tomorrow.
That's our goal.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
But I know y'all are busy, so I will thank you. And it may take me a couple of days to try to export this into some kind of movie.
Something.
And let's keep our fingers
Good
crossed
luck.
that it recorded.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.